decisions negatively impact you. Some choices that you make in discussions with other people can lead to negatively impacting your ability to make money, because if people don't like who you are, or how you behave with one person, when you go try to do business with somebody else, you've already got a bad vote. I've been trying to tell you guys that you are your own walking brand, your own walking business, and the way that you carry yourself in life is how people will perceive you. So then when they experience you in person, that's when they have already had the first impression of you when they saw you behaving out in the street. And now your first impression of them is their response to you after this is the second time they see you in their life. First impressions are the most important thing that we can have in our lives, but we believe that our first impression should start when we engage them for the first time. You have to behave on your best behavior all the time, because when you're not looking, they're looking at you. And how you behave when they're looking at you, like Job under the tree, when Jesus was looking at Job, how you behave is how they will judge you. Then when you come to them and you ask them for something, whether it's a job, whether it's a loan, whether it's an investment opportunity, whether it's help for something, they're a predisposed disposition of you, their advanced opinion of you. That's how they're going to respond, whether it's in favor of your situation or against it. That's how they're going to respond. You're not going to understand why. He said, no respect, give no mercy. He's thinking about Cobra Kai. That's why I majored in what is that? Underwater basket weaving. But he said I got a full but that's good. You smile and shake hands. A full mouth of teeth and a firm handshake. But the best part about the situation is that when you pay attention to what is negatively impacting your ability to succeed, then you can start making better choices. And that's one of the things that we were going to be trying to work on today. So next week's show, we're going to be doing the exact same. I think it's on the same day next week. We're going to be exclusively talking about what the fellas do that mess up their success. So ladies, don't think that today is going to be a day that's going to be just you, and then we never going to get the dudes, because I'm universal about everything that I do here on this and that, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between, and I make it a point to cover it from both sides. But I thought this was a big enough topic to spread across 2 different days, and I just put it on 2 different weeks. So what hold on, he says talk about Representative Susan Valdez. It was crazy, the lady that switched from Democrat to Republican in middle of her serving. They say she took a bribe. Well, got to get paid, right? At the end of the day, well, her changing positions doesn't impact the average American, because whether she took a bribe or not doesn't really influence uh, how we get stuff, really. I mean, there's a lot of people in politics that put a lot of effort into, like, the people who are like diehard political, like, activist kind of people. They put a lot of like go to into a conversation so that they can really be knowledgeable about the fact that the people in politics do a lot of stuff in politics that doesn't benefit the rest of the people. No matter how much knowledge I obtain, I don't have all the knowledge. Somebody is always going to have knowledge that I don't have. But at the end of the day, though, I will take in the knowledge that I get from the other individuals, and I will try my best to learn from the people around me. And then I will try to implement the knowledge that I get from them. However, whether or not a woman is sitting on the left side of the room, or if she's going to sit on the right side of the room, whether her chair is a blue chair or a red chair, whether she's got a Fruit Balloon shirt with Obamacare on it, or she's wearing one of those red manga hats, it don't matter. There's still 501 people up in that bitch, and they are not making good choices all the time. So he said, well, I thought it's crazy that she switched in the middle. It made the papers in Austin, but that's what it was supposed to do. We're supposed to be talking about how women make bad decisions that self-sabotage their situation. And what she did made its mark, because we're here talking about how she went from the left side of the room to the right side of the room. All she did was get up and move over. In middle school, when a girl got up from sitting next to you and went and sat in the other empty seat on the other side of the room, you put your head down so that people stop talking about it. But now, as adults, when you get up on the left side of the room and walk to the right side of the room and sit down, it is all over the internet. But what did changing seats do? It didn't make my podcast start any sooner. It didn't put money in your pocket. It did put money in my pocket. She's not going to release subsidies to us for the rest of the year. Where she's not going to start re-implementing stimulus checks. It doesn't make any difference. But one of the things that you when you point out this particular person before we get started on the show, one of the things that I want to point out is, wasn't that the same Democratic woman that was voting on Trump's side of things, trying to get the lockdown unlocked? That's the same woman. I don't have to remember everybody's name, but there was one Democrat that was voting Republican that was a female during the shutdown. And it just so happens 2 months later, she then got up and stopped being a Democrat and started being a Republican. Okay. So instead of her being a Democratic vote, don't you think that actually was a bad move, though? Because instead of her being a Democratic voter that's going to vote Republican, which gives Republicans more votes, because if you split the room down the middle, she's a Republican voter on the Democratic side. Now she's on the Republican side. You still need more than what, half the room, right? Well, actually, a lot of the votes require what do you call that, filibuster, where it's a unanimous vote or nothing. It's not always a majority vote, but when it does turn into, how you doing, Brian Ellen? But whenever it turns into a majority vote, she's the majority vote, so it don't matter. Yes, super majority. I don't know enough, but she keeps making the papers over here. That's because you get the paper. I don't get the paper. you know, I will sit there and do research, and my first opening outline investigation is, how did political changes impact income, investments, or savings for the average American person in the last 7 days? And I can guarantee you her changing seats is not going to be in that list. I'm not sitting over here just shooting the breeze just to shoot the breeze. I'm trying to provide y'all with the information that helps y'all become more successful. He said the paper is the only thing I read every morning. Well, you got a cell phone. You can watch some of my old videos on how to build up a business from the ground up so that you can have something different than what you already got. You can look at other ways to network. You can look at ways to set up soirees so that you can do some meet and greet, so that you can build up your clientele. There's a lot of things that you can do besides sit there and read the paper. But the newspaper is going to put, guess what they're paid to put in the paper, because just like lobbyists impact executive decisions, those same lobbyists impact the media. A large majority of your budget came from an investor. When they tell you to put something in a newspaper, you put it in there. When they tell you to take something out of the newspaper, you take it out. The reason why you don't follow one exclusive news source is because the information is funneled. But the truth is what is said by every single platform. That's the truth. When one person is saying one side and one person is saying something different about the exact same topic, that's differences of opinion. But when both sides of the table say the same thing, that is unequivocally the truth. And that's why they tell you, go and do your research. Get your information from other places. That's what they want you to do. He said, but the breeze has trees. Now, Sunday, and one of the things I want to tell you before we get started, Sunday is our questions and comments from the fans. So when you guys have questions that are not related to the topic, that's when we bring up the stuff that's unrelated to the topic is on Sunday night show, because Sunday night show doesn't have a dedicated topic. Now, since we're live 7 nights a week, we do not let the sun rise without going live. But as you can see, we don't always start on time. So we encourage you guys, after you like and subscribe on either Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, wherever you're watching us from, YouTube, you swing on over to the YouTube channel and go and hit that notification button so that you're notified as soon as we go live. That way you don't miss out on anything if we've got some updates and some headlines for you. Now, speaking of updates and headlines, tonight's Friday night. For those individuals that didn't get in there, we were supposed to be buying into Arbor Realty today so that we had it for Monday so that we'd be on the books for the ex-dividend date on Monday. And then after Monday, we're supposed to be giving you guys more information as to which stock option we're going to be investing in going towards week 3 of December. If you've been in the membership, you have been seeing us do a rollout at least once a day about the different stocks that we have. And at least once a day, you guys get some type of information about upcoming trades, whether it's something to buy or something to sell that is exclusively right now related to the core satellite portfolio, which usually is the links that are scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Listen, there, because I have not updated these values, but these are the tickers that are scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So if you're interested in getting more in-depth information, you can always get that from our membership if you decide to join. Otherwise, I'll update you about it in the show when we get to that topic. He said, no, he's maybe Sunday we talk about the movie. There's only so much you can say about the ideology of whether or not there's people living on the moon. That's more of a sci-fi podcast, or at least a science podcast, because realistically speaking, we can't really call it fiction just because we don't believe it. But it is more of a science podcast. But I can always try to squeeze it in there to fit some of the stuff on Sunday. But since I talk about different topics every week and different topics every day of the week, I don't see myself hitting the nail on the head for the exact same topic every week. But, I'll see what I can do. Michael said, I'll stop giving advice people's lives. It makes no difference in their life, and they will run off the cliff anyway. So even if you posted a sign, and he's right, there are a lot of people that if they don't want to follow instructions, they're not. And no matter what you tell them, they will ride it off the cliff. And there's nothing that you can do about it, because you give them a choice to choose, and then after they choose, it's done. So Michael say, happy Friday. Remember to like, subscribe. Exactly that. So now let's get into our next topic. He said, I just noticed that as I just became a Platinum Diamond member. I don't think you became a Platinum Diamond member overnight, because that's not how the membership works. You started off as a beta member, you would have to buy a higher membership in order to go up in the memberships. So if you ended up as a Platinum Diamond member, you must have just bought something. You must have just bought something if you just became a Platinum Diamond member. I greatly appreciate it if you did. But if you're in the Platinum Diamond member, and part of the Platinum Diamond member is that we can do a show, we can do a collaboration on a topic of your choice, that'll have me do a Sunday show about just moon people, because you're a Platinum Diamond member. Because we have a Diamond Platinum package. Me and Bishop Pibbs have put that up there. And one of the stipulations for that particular monthly premium is that at least one, if not more than one, collaboration that we'll do with you under contract, because of the value of that particular membership. So if I verify that there is a Diamond Platinum membership that you've got, then you'll get your Sunday, you'll get your Sunday moon people. If we got to do Sunday moon people every, at least half of the show every week while you're a diamond platinum member, I'll figure it out for you. Michael's got gold at $43,029 an ounce. I told y'all it wasn't going to 25 grand because it's at a steady incline. So if it was going to be at a steady incline, it would have had to go up $1,000. It's not going to go up $1,000. It went up $200 in the past 3 weeks. And at this particular rate, over the course of 52 weeks, it might make it to 6 grand, but it ain't going to make it to 25 grand. Is it try using bright colors like pink background with neon green letters? That works best for me. Man, you sitting over here like you didn't. Oh, you said, well, what does Dylan get? I don't know. I got to go see the membership. I didn't look at the membership. I didn't look at his membership because there are like 6 or 7 tiers of membership up there. There's a very basic one that gives you access to stuff that everybody else doesn't get access to. And then the higher tiers have higher privileges. And each tier also has a different discount variation for the membership when you go to buy the memorabilia off of the platform. So depending on the platform, depending on the item you wanted to purchase, depending on the platform, I would get you a limited use discount card and then send that to you, and then you will put that into action and get the stuff that you're trying to get off of the show. And that way you would have you a little bit better, but then as opposed to the people that's getting the regular price. But there's other things on there, but I didn't I haven't memorized them because I put that up there a couple years ago. I never remember what all is up there. When I seen the emojis in the comment section, I was like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, oh yeah. Is I'm happy to sell gold coins to my local pawn shop to support them for $2,500 every day. That is a lot of money you're throwing away, because if gold is $4,300 and you're selling it for $2,500, you're giving away a lot of money. Is it a signed autograph? Well, I'll probably have to get me some this and that memorabilia, and then I'm going to have to take photos in it and then sign it and send it to you. I need to buy 5,000 coffee mugs and hand them out to the less housed with Fireball whiskey inside. That's a whole nother level of I can't believe it's not butter. Now, let's go ahead and get into this. Because a lot of times people, hold on. Let me make sure. Yeah. We have seen individuals that have turned down opportunities, and these are the type of opportunities that they have dreamed of for years. And they tell everybody, as well as themselves, that the time that they had, the timing that they were dealing with the situation just wasn't right, and that they weren't ready for the higher level of responsibility from the new job. Even I was on that. I've had that happen to me before, where I was working for the job and I did not want to get the promotion because I just didn't want to deal with it. I wanted to be able to show up whenever I felt like it and leave whenever I could. I ended up getting that promotion anyway, but it I didn't want to go to the salary for a while. But we decide that it's the responsible thing to do when we turn down positive opportunities for ourselves. The real truth is that the one opportunity that we look at, we could have took advantage of, that we ended up failing ourselves, because the one that only came out late at night to get stuff done, that was us. The one that was the saboteur of our success was ourselves, because when we put in that extra effort to show up on our day off, we put in that extra effort to work late hours and come in early and stay late so that we qualify for the promotion, then we turn down the promotion. We realize that a lot of the times we get in our own way. A lot of times we get in our own way on purpose. We try to pass it off as being sensible, but we more often than not are not being sensible. He said, I don't feel I deserve to be successful. That's what a lot of people think, that they don't feel like they deserve to be successful. How you doing, Silver Wanderer? He said, hello, Morpheus. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Hopefully you living strong. But if anybody's heard this before, if it sounds familiar, just continue to follow with me, because have you ever gotten that sinking feeling that you are your own worst enemy in some situations, if not all the time? That you're the one holding yourself back from life, especially the one that you want, that career that you want, the relationship that you claim that you want. Well, I got to tell you something. You're not the only person that might feel that way. And more importantly, you're not broken. Self-sabotage is a pattern. It's a pattern where we create problems that get in the way of our own goals. But for women, it's a shapeshifter. Be careful, ladies. This is going to be positive, but I got to talk about some negative stuff along the way. He's you are good or evil. I don't know. Probably. Well, I would honestly have to say that, because nobody's going to like what I'm going to do, that they're going to consider me evil. But I'm going to be real with you, that I'm probably going to do them more good along the way. And when it is no longer my time to be there, that's when I'm going to move on. Right. Make a choice. Keep it simple. That's true. Now, you realize that it hides in our desire to be nice. It's that whisper in the language of responsibility, and it's camouflaged itself in our fear of being too much. And all of it is quietly amplified by the societal pressure that have shaped us since we were little. And ladies, y'all know that this has hit y'all harder than men in some situations. So in tonight's show, we're going to unmask the real, often gendered reasons behind self-sabotage. And I promise that it's not what you think. It's not some fundamental flaw in your character. It's not about being lazy or unmotivated. For many of us, it's a learned response, a protective shield that's long past its expiration date. And more importantly, we're going to walk through step by step how you can finally spot these patterns and begin to break free from them. So if you're ready to stop being the biggest obstacle in your own path, make sure that you ride the wave with me tonight, ladies, because we're going to be giving you guys a lot of information that you can benefit from. And so your environment raises you, not your family. That is true, especially even in modern times, because how often do the kids get told what to do these days? CPS is trying to take the children because you talk back to it, because the kids talk back to you. I'm sitting over here like, all right, back in my day, we talk back to mom and daddy, you get your ass whooped. You want to call somebody, let me get you the phone. But I'm going to beat your ass till they get here to give them a reason to come and get you. I was sitting over here thinking that in my neighborhood, that was a 15 to 45-minute response time. I ain't want to take that risk. It don't matter what happened after that 45 minutes is up. What matters is from the first 30 seconds of after I hit the send button till 45 minutes later when they show up, aches and pains. And I was like, you know what? That's all right. It's 12 steps to freedom. We'll see. Now, first, let's get one thing straight. Self-sabotage is a universal human thing. Guys do it too. We're going to be talking about how this messes over guys next week. And since it happens to everyone across all genders and all cultures, we have to recognize that at its core, it's often a messed up attempt at self-preservation. That is what self-sabotage is, a messed up attempt at self-preservation. Our brains are wired to avoid threat and sometimes to uh, the perceived threat of success, because that's actually a threat as well, the visibility, the responsibility, the chance of a bigger failure down the line. A lot of us have negative things in our past that we don't want to come to light. And the more we end up in the spotlight, the more concern we have with the things we want to keep in the shadows. So we will quickly sabotage our light so that our light will go out, so that we do not have to worry about our secrets getting out there, right? Feels way more dangerous than just staying put. He said, "Where's all the animals?" Well, over there. When he decided to wake up and come to the show, he'll wake up and come to the show. But I had took him out for a nice long walk, so he should be ready to stay out for at least the next 2 to 4 hours. Whew, I'm tired. Now, psychologists often trace these negative patterns back to the earliest experiences and the coping skills that we learn along the way from our earliest experiences. So, in that sense, it's just a part of being human. But, and this is the key to our conversation today, we cannot ignore how these tendencies are often shaped and amplified for women through societal conditioning. The way many women self sabotage aren't random, they often mirror the roles society has expected us to play. So think about it. From a young age, girls are frequently socialized to be nurturers, to be helpful, to keep the peace. And those can be wonderful virtues. But when the conditions go unquestioned, it can become a breeding ground of self sabotage. The self sabotaging behavior, according to a necessary confrontation at a workplace, keep the peace, might feel like you're being a good team player, but it could also be sabotaging your project because you're allowing this other person to be disruptive. Constantly putting your own ambitions on the back burner to support everyone else feels selfless. But over time, it sabotages your own growth and can lead to serious resentment. Even if you're finishing your projects, if you're finishing your projects after everyone else, they're going to recognize that you're late with your projects. They don't care that you was helping everybody else. A lot of the capitalist portion of this society isn't just about the play it safe model of put the mask on yourself before you put the mask on somebody else. They use that model also as finish your own work before you start helping somebody else with theirs. Get your own stuff done, and then take your free time and go help somebody else with their stuff. If they can't keep up, they don't belong at this job. And this isn't about blaming society or making any excuses. It's about empowerment through understanding. So when you can see the invisible scripts running in the background, when you realize that the urge to think small or be nice isn't necessarily your authentic voice, but a piece of old programming, from the farthest reaches of the back of your mind, you will gain the power to question the things that you see and hear, which is not something that people readily see, right? And that's what we're going to be working on today. We're going to be trying to see if we can get ourselves in that position where we can finally get exactly what we need accomplished without falling short. Now, when you start experiencing this, you get to choose different responses than the ones that you usually chose when you weren't succeeding. And researchers have even identified a cluster of gendered self sabotaging behaviors. Uh, Things like excessive people pleasing, perfectionism, and holding back that tend to hinder women's advancements more often. And this is stuff that you do to yourself. So I'm sitting down. This isn't a victim blaming situation. This is stuff that you do to yourself. So you will recognize this either in your own behavior, in your homegirl's behavior, your sister's behavior, your aunt, your girlfriend, your daughter, somebody. You've seen this happen. These aren't character flaws. They are coping mechanisms for a world that sends a lot of mixed messages. You got to be ambitious, but not aggressive. How is that even possible? You got to be confident, but not arrogant. How is that possible? Be a leader, but make sure everyone still likes you. You cannot take charge with people who don't want to listen and then still be able to lead without being aggressive and demanding. It's a tightrope walk, and it's excessively exhausting. And this is long before the second shift that the women have to put up with. It's no wonder that sometimes stepping off the rope onto a safe ground of the familiar feeling is like the only option that you can think about. But that safety is an illusion. It's the comfortable cage of self-sabotage. And today we're going to find a key for you. So to really get this, we need to look at the messages that have been whispered into women's ears for generations. The ones that make self-sabotage look like a good thing. Let's pull this back, because we're going to pull back, what, 3 curtains on 3 different big issues. How you doing, random commenter? I don't know. That right there looks like a troll waiting to happen, because your name is random comment. Make sure that your random comment is appropriately structured, exclusively related to the topic at hand. Because a left field random comment will be responded to on Sunday. Now, the first most powerful one that we have is the be nice trap. And I've heard my mom told my sister that, why don't you just be nice? And my sister was never nice. This is the relentless pressure on women to be accommodating, nurturing, and above all, nice. It's the idea that our value is tied to making others feel comfortable. And as little girls, ladies, y'all are often praised for being sweet, not making a fuss. So our brain codes this as the main way to get approval and love. Problem is, this niceness can turn into a deep-seated fear of conflict avoidance. And we learn to swallow our own opinions and needs to avoid rocking the boat. It shows up as chronic people pleasing. It's saying yes to a project you don't have time for, so you don't disappoint your boss. It's apologizing when you've done nothing wrong. It's saying staying quiet in a meeting with a brilliant idea because you don't want to seem like you're challenging a male colleague. And actually, ironically, my sister had a problem with this one time before, and I'm like, just speak up. Just say what's on the table. As a matter of fact, if it's going to make your productivity any better, if you don't feel comfortable with you saying it, you tell the guy sitting next to you before the meeting for him to say it, so that when he put it out there, if they rip it a new one, they rip it a new one. But if they throw out praise, they throw out praise. The fact is, you make the change that doesn't piss you off every day. But women find themselves in positions where they're not negotiating your salary because you don't want to seem greedy or difficult. But we also recognize that in certain situations, there are women that are not getting paid as much as their male counterparts in sometimes the same job field, if not the same business in of itself. But you have years of experience, how many days of work you're showing up, your on-time attendance, performance brackets, all of this stuff plays into account. But a few cents difference between your pay scale and the other person's pay scale is because that person negotiated their raise. And it just so happens that you're a woman. Because I'm gonna be real with you, I was getting better raises when I was negotiating my raises, as opposed to letting the job give it to me. Because I would work for a company and get like a nickel every 3 months, because that's what they was willing to give the squad. But when I showed them that I deserve $1.25 when everybody else gets a nickel, I didn't just show that I'm the best there is, I proved it. I'm putting in 25 hours a week more than the managers. I'm doing the work of the managers. I'm doing my own work. I'm doing the work of the shift before me. I'm setting up the shift after me. So basically, when I came to work that 12 hours, I just set up the next 24 hours so that nothing else needs to get done until I come back. I done did the boss's job for the boss. And now the boss can spend more time at home. See that last part there? You ain't got to come to work as much, but your salary. So you're going to get paid to stay at home. You get to enjoy life more because I got this. $1.25 an hour more. But I showed my value. Now the person standing next to me making way less money than what I'm making. If I was in this particular situation, I was making damn near $30 an hour next to the person that was only making 18. And my job was to delegate. And her job was to get it done. Each of these situations seems very, very small and maybe even extremely polite, but over a lifetime, this kindness, it isn't kindness. It's a slow erosion of your non-negotiable expectations for behavior. It's your ambitions. It's your self-worth. And being a martyr to the cause, whatever your cause is, will not win you any awards. Y'all seen what happened to Mr. I Can't Breathe? When did he get a Nobel Peace Prize? Did we get change? He suffocated and died. What has improved? Nothing. They mainstream body cameras, but they doing it on camera now. Now, the second piece of the puzzle is what socialists call the double bind. And this is a nasty catch-22 that women in the professional world often face. The research is painfully clear. When women act in stereotypical feminine ways, like being warm and agreeable, they're often liked but not seen as leaders. But when they adapt masculine leadership traits, like being assertive and direct, they're seen as competent but get penalized for that competency. Now, what men complain about off the job is that the women don't know how to turn that off. You should be able to be assertive and direct at the workplace. You should be able to voice your opinion in an assertive fashion within reason in your relationship. But you are not supposed to be dominating your relationship as if you are the boss of the relationship the way you dominate your job because you're the boss of the job. The partnership aspect of a relationship is a partnership aspect of a business, of an LLC. That's a partnership. You've got to negotiate with your counterpart. You've got to negotiate with the other person that has shares in the company. But when these women are aggressive like this, they are labeled as aggressive, bossy, or even worse. It's a no-win situation. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. And this isn't just a feeling. It's a documented phenomenon. And that phenomenon creates huge anxiety around being visible and speaking up for yourself. Now, the fear of that backlash is real, and it creates a powerful, almost rational incentive to self limit. You start thinking maybe it's just easier to hold back. Maybe it's just soften my language a little bit, and maybe I'll let someone else take the lead And even though it was my idea, I'm going to let them get the spotlight. You start policing your own behavior, shrinking yourself to fit into a tiny box between a pushover and being a witch. This is self sabotage born from a logical fear, but it keeps you from the very visibility that you need to succeed. Finally, let's talk about the so called confidence gap, because we all heard the stats that men apply for a job when they meet only 60% of the qualifications, but women only apply if they meet 100% of the qualifications. But just calling it a confidence gap is misleading. It puts all the blame on women as if it's a personal failure. The reality is very, very complex, way more complex than you might imagine. This isn't just a lack of confidence, it is a calculated risk assessment based on experience. Research shows that women often hesitate because they anticipate that the system will be less forgiving of their mistakes. More so, that their stumbles will be judged even harsher than others, or that they won't be seen as a good fit. So, that hesitation isn't just I'm not good enough. It's a complex calculation that sounds more like the system is biased against me already. So I have to be perfect just to have a shot. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of y'all might not know what that feels like, but I know exactly what that feels like. We were raised by women in our 80s, 90s, early 2000s that we had to try as minorities 10 times harder than the next person so that we would be judged on an equal platform. So if we wanted to be seen over the next person, we would have to put in 15 times more work than the next person in order to be seen. Developed workhorse mentalities. But this is a form of self sabotage that is designed to protect you from a system that you currently perceive as having an unfair odd against you, which will prevent you from wasting your time in situations where close wasn't close enough, but the results are still going to be the same. You stayed exactly where you are, wondering why you can't get ahead without ever putting forth the effort to try. So now we get to the really tricky part, because let's talk about the self-sabotaging behaviors that don't look like sabotage at all. In fact, people will praise you for them. These are the wolves in sheep's clothing, the saboteurs in masquerade as your best qualities. So let's unmask the first one: responsibility. Procrastination, better known as perfectionism, is what we're going to be dealing with. And we love to wear perfectionism like a badge of honor. We say, oh, I'm such a perfectionist. But where are they getting their information from? And what are they really trying to say? What they're really trying to say is, I have impossibly high standards. But let's be honest about what perfectionism really is. It's not a quest for excellence, it's a fear in a fancy outfit. It's the paralyzing fear of being judged, criticized, or failing. One meta analysis even confirmed that perfectionism is strongly linked to procrastination because the standards to feel too high, too even, start to set in. So, this is going to look like rewriting an email 10 times or sharpening the pencil for weeks. A proposal that's already late would also fit into the the values. So if you tell yourself that you're just being diligent, but you're really just hiding, you're delaying the moment of judgment. This ideally responsible delay leads to missed opportunities, chronic stress, and burnout, all under the same admirable guise of being a high achiever. Now, our second secret is a saboteur or being polite. Yeah, that kind of warns us, doesn't it? Even, hold on. Yeah, even if you had that brilliant idea and you see someone else doing something vaguely similar and you just do it instead of giving up, you can tell yourself, well, there's no room for me now. They've got that idea covered. And then you don't have to get into it anymore. This isn't being polite, it's a form of self sabotage rooted in sarcastic mindset. It's a habit of stepping back to make room for others, even when you deserve to take up that position. And you realize it is being humble, but you realize the driver is a fear of consumption. Yeah, which is a different version of your version, which is in their mind not good enough. What are the results to that? Well, your idea dies before it even has a chance. And when you think about the third saboteur is a modern spiritual audience. And this is when we pass a collection plate down and use concepts like alignment or institution. Hopefully y'all are writing this down because this is getting there. We're looking at the next step is spiritual avoidance. This is going to be where you use concepts like alignment and the intuition as a smokescreen for the fear. And it always sounds like I'm not. And you should be able to put an underline under that and be like, why not? But they're going to say, well, I'm not launching because it's just not energetically aligned. Put some Pokemon on that bad boy, have them gyrate. You will find that it's just ethically aligned or morally institutionally aligned. So the huge believer in situations like this would be the guys that are waiting to take their ride on a spaceship. But the huge difference is between general inner guidance and using spiritual offensive life. I had to stop and think about that for a minute, let y'all marinate on it for a minute. Now, there's a huge difference between genuine inner guidance and using spiritual language to hide from risks. The key of sabotage is tricky because it feels so evolved. But what if you've been waiting for a sign for months? It might be time to ask if you're truly waiting for a divine timing or if you're just scared. Now, the fourth one is helpful self-eraser, or the helper complex. Now, this one is a woman who is everyone's shoulder to cry on, the fixer of all problems. She organizes the parties, takes the notes, spends her evenings coaching friends through the breakups. Society loves this type of person. She's praised for being selfless, but she's also erasing herself. This is a direct result of that being too nice. Your life becomes a series of reactions when they're addressing other people and other people's emergencies. Notice your big project, your big business plan, that's got to get done by any means necessary. And then when it gets pushed to tomorrow, and again tomorrow, and today, 7 to the 3rd, you start feeling good in the short term, but eventually you lose the actual hollow and feeling of it's oh, because that's just how it is. Now, because you've been busy tending everyone else's garden, that your own is going to be full of weeds. Y'all can tell I'm burnt out. Struggling through this one with like 3 Oreos left, trying to get some sugar in my system. Now, finally, let's talk about humble self-minimization. This habit of deflecting compliments and understanding your achievements. It's really important for your own personal development. If someone says, that was a brilliant presentation, you're going to respond with, oh, it was nothing. You spent 30 hours on it. You land a huge client and you tell your friends, I just got lucky. This isn't humility. It's a fear of owning your own power. You spent 30 hours on a project. You kicked ass on a project. You closed a big deal. You did something that other people in the room couldn't do. You're supposed to be more than proud of yourself. Ladies, true humility, and I've had some people talk to me about humility, and they teach backwards. They teach that humility is submitting to someone else that you perceive to have more control over your situation than you do. Admitting that you are not the whole picture and just staying in your lane and staying in your place. What? Humility is not denying your strength. It's having an accurate sense of how strong you are and how you've impacted this situation. Ladies, every time you downplay a win, you reinforce a narrative to yourself and others that you're not truly capable. When that's the furthest thing from the truth. Y'all are way more successful and way more capable than men. easily distracted by fast cars, video games, and fast girls. Isn't that something? This is a strategy to keep the stakes low, but it also keeps you small. A lot of times, this is deflecting misdirected rage, but a lot of times, a lot of women might find themselves overly dominating their relationships so that they can get the validation of the highly successful person that they are that they wasn't getting from their societies. Now, I understand dating to your partner, but you're always supposed to remember that you are supposed to treat your partner the way you want your partner to treat you, not treat your partner the way your society treats you. If they treating you bad and you're treating your partner bad, what's going to happen? Your partner's likely to get up and walk away. Doesn't matter if it's male or female. We're going to keep going here, so let's take a breath because any of this is resonating. Know that awareness is the first giant leap. And if you guys are finding this helpful and you want to keep untangling these patterns with me, you want to take a second to click the like and subscribe button, that notification button, because you don't have to do this kind of work alone. I got to create the podcast by myself, but I don't have to do this podcast alone. So how can you tell the difference between genuine helpfulness and helpful self-eraser? How do you know if it's a real institution? Well, you can tell if it's spiritual avoidance because you need a simple diagnostic tool. I'm going to call it diagnostic tool the impact-based limitless test. It's not about how virtuous an action looks. What matters is the impact it repeatedly has on your life. So the next time you're about to do one of these things, which is pause, ask yourself 3 questions. Question 1, and y'all can write this down, ladies. Does this behavior over time lead to striking or expansion? Are you looking for shrinking or expansion? That's a good question to ask yourself. Does saying yes to every request expand your skills and energy, or does it shrink your time and focus on your goals so that you can spend more time focusing on their goals? Self-sabotage, no matter how pretty it looks, always leads to shrinking. Question number 2, does this behavior over time lead to stagnation or progress? So, does your responsible perfectionism lead to your completing projects and moving forward? Or does it keep you stuck in a loop of endless revisions, never actually finishing any of them? Self-sabotage is the anchor that keeps you stuck in the harbor when your ship is meant to be sailing. And that's a lot. Because the final most telling question, does this behavior tell over time lead to resentment? Yeah. Now, what if it leads you to peace? This is one that you can feel in your gut. Genuine acts of kindness bring a sense of inner peace. Self-sabotage, even when you get it through praise, almost always leaves a bitter aftertaste of resentment. You're going to get that feeling that is like a red flag to you. It's your soul alarm system that's telling you that you've betrayed yourself. And even if you didn't, you did it with a smile. Shrinking, stagnation, and resentment fall into a category where if a behavior consistently produces one or more of these results, you can be sure it's um, it's going to be a function of self-sabotage. So remember, if a behavior constantly produces one or more of these results, you can be sure that it is a functioning result. But if it is A plus, yeah, A plus B in this situation, the results from consistency can actually be more sabotaging in the N of N plus one. So understanding the why part is half the battle. And we're speeding through it. Now let's get into the how part, because this isn't about a massive overnight change. It's about taking small, courageous actions over and over and over again until you build a new way of being. So you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So for 1 week, if you become a detective into your own life, when you feel that pull towards a sabotaging behavior, write it down. When you write it down, you want to make sure that you write it down with judgment. Say, for example, my boss asked for a volunteer for a weekend project, and I immediately said yes. This is harmful. Self eraser. Why? Because you're giving up all your free time. They don't care what you're doing at your house. All they want to know is that you're going to make it here so that I can go home on time. Then name the true cost. The cost is my 2 days of rest and the energy for my side hustles. And it is feeding the resentment towards a job. Getting this clear makes a lot of sense. And it helps with the pain of staying the same, greater than the fear of changes. That was very complicated. Self-sabotaging acts is powerful by hidden belief. You ask yourself, what about the oh, hold on, we got a whole nother sentence here. He said, been busy tonight with bonus. I would try coming back. Congratulations on your bonus. So where were we at? Every sabotaging act is powered by a hidden belief. Ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I do this? That's what I was reading. And the answer reveals the belief. So maybe if I say no, they'll think I'm selfish and lose their approval. Now you reframe it, turn that fearful belief into a curious hypothesis. So I hypothesize that if I communicate my no respectfully, my professional relationship will stay intact. This shift you from being a victim of circumstance to being a scientist of your own life. Now you overcome self-sabotage by collecting tiny pieces of evidence that prove your old fears wrong. So we're not sleuthing, trying to prove ourselves right. We're trying to disprove the myth that we're starting to believe. And this is all about imperfection actions. The goal isn't a perfect outcome, it's just a gathering of new information. And if you work on setting non-negotiable expectations for behavior, you don't start by saying no to your CEO. You start small. And this, we're going to say no thought. This no thought is going to be a small social request. So if you're tackling perfectionism, try this. For this one internal report, I will only allow myself 2 rounds of editing before sending. These small wins build new natural pathways, one courageous step at a time. And when you're caught off guard, your old programming will kick in hard and you can get back to a blank slate if you like. But you need pre written practice lines. And those lines have got to be ready to go. Now, for people pleasing, you want to have a to go phrase. Let me check my calendar and get back with you. This buys you time. If they say, hey, when this conversation ends, the offer is up. Oh, well, then I can't go. Or thinking for yourself and thinking for me too, but I don't have the capacity to go that direction and have the attention that the other person deserves when they're normally on my right side. Now, back her sitting in this chair. For minimization, when someone gives you a compliment, you script responses is simple. Thank you, I appreciate that. And that's it. When you're practicing these out loud, they'll feel awkward at first, but they are the tools that we help you act from your new job. This is going to be a very powerful moment in your shift. You ladies are going to have to stop trading your valuable time and energy for empty calorie praises. And you're so helpful feels good, but it doesn't pay your bills or get you promoted. So consciously translating your helpful work into tangible equity when you ask to take a lower visibility task like taking the notes off of the meaningful task and hand them off to the um, person standing next to you, you will find that you'll be building something with the question. And that's got to be very challenging in and of itself. You find yourself in positions like, I'd be happy to take the notes to make sure I capture everything. And then it would be great if I could also present the key takeaways and the leadership at the end of the week see what you did and then just link a helpful task to a higher visibility opportunity. And this isn't being demanding, it's being strategic. It's teaching people that your help has a value, one that we probably never thought about. And you expect a fair exchange for that value. Wow. Now, we have seen that self-sabotage is human. Men have it too. But for women, it's often shaped by a lifetime of social conditioning. We've unmasked secret saboteurs that disagree with themselves and virtual perfectionism. Definitions, spiritual avoidance, whole nine. Self-reassurance and self-minimization. We've learned the limitless test, shrinking, stagnation, and resentment. And now that you have all 5 blueprints to start breaking free, now is your time to free your mind. So I want to leave you guys with a lot of it to do real quick. And this is not about blaming yourself. Every one of the patterns in this brilliant strategy would probably be at a traffic stop at some point in their life because they're not going to be performing the way they need to perform. It's got nothing to do with you, or at least it shouldn't. Every one of these patterns was once a brilliant strategy for survival, but you are no longer the person who needs that strategy. The woman you are today at and the woman you're becoming for tomorrow needs a new set of tools that she requires through courage, not comfort. The journey to overcoming self sabotage is a practice. It's about being compassionate with yourself on a daily basis where you don't fall back into old habits while celebrating the wins. It's about choosing again and again to be one of your biggest fans. Now, activism. We'll take a look at that real quick. If you advocate instead of your own worst enemy, you'll find yourself to be a little bit more successful. The work starts right now, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, right now. So here's my call to action for you. In the comment section, I want to make a community out of this. So tell me one macro level or even micro level, because we got to get you guys in there, where you're going through the run of this and you're asking yourself, are you going to say no to the small thing? There's a lot of questions, but that's a very good, important question. Send an email with only one round of edits. Got to look at it. State one of your accomplishments without downplaying it at all. Declare it in the comments. Let's create space for shared accountability and courage right here, right now on the show today. Now, one of the things that you guys got to remember is that you are the one value in your equation that has to be solved for, because you are the powerful and the other guys are hanging on a prayer. But this is also your time to stop pretending and start being more than what you are. So, as we sit back and look at this, ladies, we're going to start off by saying, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And then, fellas, we're going to let you know that we're a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective. We don't always expect to see us on time, but you will see us with a different topic every night of the week. So, ladies, this isn't a red pill, blue pill, black pill podcast because I give you ladies the information to help you ladies become higher value women as well. We're going to take this chain and we're going to rock it out, but we'll figure it out. With that being said, because we do got more stuff lined up for you for tomorrow, and I'm going to try to get some more stuff up for the rest of next week so that I can make sure that the upcoming has a whole relic up there for next week so that we can get more stuff done. Not likewise, so I can show up on time, because if I'm not making scripts and SEOs, I got plenty of free time. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to this and that. As exhausted as I was on burnout mode today, I still managed to finish an hour and 22-minute show. So I want to thank you guys for coming to this and that. And before we get started, I'm going to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. I'm your host, Xander, and I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.